Well, hello everyone. How are you? This is Michelle Gardner-Ince. We are in for a treat today. Welcome to National Small Business Week, a whole week of um, small business training in celebration of Small Business Week. We're going to have a special guest in just a few minutes, but I do want to talk to you for a minute just about why are we doing this? As I said, this is National Small Business Week. I'm Michelle Gardner-Ince, aka GI, and I've been an entrepreneur most of my adult life. And you might say, why am I doing this, right? Well, one, uh, all of my life, I've been taking care of military members and their families via entrepreneurship in the world's greatest Air Force here in the US. So let me just say that one, um, being an entrepreneur, most people don't think about, entrepreneurship as far as the Air Force is concerned. But anything you can think of on a city, the hotels, the restaurants, the fitness centers, the golf clubs, golf courses, the golf clubs, the officers club, NCO clubs, boat marinas, horse stables, childcare centers, all of those things have to make a profit. Now, granted, because we are getting the benefit of of um, um, taxpayer dollars, we are not making a large profit. But nevertheless, I started out being in charge of cooks in a dining facility, and then at my highest point, after not after when I made colonel, one of 45 colonels in the U.S. Air Force, black colonels in the U.S. Air Force um, in the early 2000s. I don't want to tell my age, but let me just say that there aren't many of us. But I've had the opportunity to run $1 billion portfolio where I was in charge of the Army and Air Force Exchange Service. You know them as the military department stores. So with 7,000 people, $1.8 billion profit loss responsibility, as well as 87 locations, supporting almost 500,000 members of not only the United States military, but the embassies and the civilian workforce as well. So that's enough about me. You can always go to my profile and check out the rest. I do want to say that I work for the Department of Veteran Affairs in my 9 to 5, where I am the director of the Women Veteran-Owned Small Business Initiative. But today, I come before you as a small business champion and advocate, and I am the host of the GI Factor, as well as Demystifying Government Contracting, which is a weekly session that happens normally every Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have some amazing quote experts that I think are just beyond generous. These are amazing humans who are small business owners in their own right, former contracting officers, SCORE mentor, as well as business advisors, business coaches, at senior acquisition professionals, all come to join us every Wednesday in the audio session where we allow people to, in a closed environment, ask questions about government contracting, share their journey um, of as they go along this small business journey. And we all know, no matter where you are, whether you're at the startup or whether you are extremely mature, there are challenges that come with it. And as I was telling a small business group of small business new startups, I said, you will not believe that the problems you have now are the problems that the larger companies have, and they're just at a larger scale. And I always remind the ladies that I talk to, and a few good men also, that these are problems you prayed for, and you're more than equipped to handle them. So you might say, how did I get started on this audio kind of LinkedIn kind of thing? Well, in 2021, I was blessed to be one of the few named as a LinkedIn top voice. And that's kind of a hand selected thing. You can apply, you can't pay money. And when that LinkedIn watches your activity and believes that you are adding value to the LinkedIn community, and whether you know it or not, there's about 1 billion people on LinkedIn. Only 3% post, hint, hint. So for small business owners, LinkedIn is a great place to market your business. And most of a lot of the decision makers, that's what I call them, within the federal government are on LinkedIn. And oh, by the way, when they're thinking about you as a selection in the final, few as far as a contract award, they're looking you up now on your website, but on LinkedIn as well. So, again, I'm Michelle Gardner-Ince. We're here to celebrate Small Business Week. And I just kind of would like to review a few comments and give you just a little bit of, history about the Small Business Week and how it got started before we go into our amazing speaker today. So first of all, let me just say that Small Business Week has been an annual celebration since 1963, and it was established by the SBA as an initiative to recognize the critical contribution of America's entrepreneurs. Whether or not you know it or not, the federal government, U.S. federal government, is, if not the largest buyer of goods and services in the world. However, guess what? It is small businesses that keep this engine growing. And the Executive Order 13985, which is all about equity in government contracting, specifically Section 7, that's talking about increasing representation, increasing the vendor-based base, and they want those businesses to be from underserved communities. So, this is about highlighting that. This week we'll be talking about some of those challenges. The executive order challenges every federal agency to remove barriers and biases and to engage small businesses in a new and different way. And so when I was chosen as a LinkedIn top voice, they also asked me to be a beta tester for the LinkedIn audio video capability. And I wanted to contribute back to the community and basically show the community that they could engage in conversation about government contracting, about acquisition. And it's not about sharing procurement sensitive information or any inside information. It's about understanding the language and the landscape of federal government contracting. So this year's theme is about empowering small business, which is why all week long from 6 to 8 p.m., we'll have different speakers, including myself, different presentations, all about empowering small business success. We'll be privileged to have a panel of experts who are not just leaders in their own field, but passionate advocates who come on this platform, no charge, just want to add value to the community. So please mark your calendars, be here for us, all about small business. This week we'll be taking your comments and questions. But today, without further ado, I do want to, hold on a minute. I do want to introduce our speaker for today. And let me tell you, I'd heard of him. Let me just say that. um, because he has graced the stages of many places. But he recently gave a presentation that one of my colleagues was just ranting um, about Think acquisition, and also his unique platform, which I'll let him talk about, and hopefully he'll be able to stay around for a few questions. But it is my esteemed pleasure to introduce you to William Randolph, the esteemed CEO of Think Acquisition. His illustrious career is marked not only by business acumen, but his profound commitment to public service and leadership. And that's really what inspired me to invite him, is just his heart to contribute, his passion for his why to add to the community and legacy wealth. William is a Navy veteran. Guess what? He spent a couple of decades in the Navy, the sea services. He spent some time with the Marines, which is normally natural. So we're going to say he has some Marine on him. And that in itself is a huge compliment. I'm going to tell you, I was at Camp Foster, and I'm in awe of anybody who can spend time in the Marines. But he then left the Navy, and his sense of duty, his sense of country, sense of family, and excellence, God as well, have carried him forward into civilian service, where he was a senior executive that was pivotal in government acquisitions. He spent more years there, I think a total of 26 years of distinguished service. He's a visionary, he's an expert. And then he decided that he was going to start his entrepreneurial journey and help small businesses and the federal government succeed in their missions. I do want to thank him for coming. As we listen today, we're hearing from an accomplished, not only federal veteran, I want to say that first, accomplished senior executive and an accomplished CEO. William, thank you so much for joining us, and what a pleasure it is to have you here.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on the GI Factor. Thank you so much.
Well, first of all, I know you're going to tell a little bit about yourself in your presentation, but I do want to just ask you a couple of questions before we get started. What made you so passionate about educating people, business owners, even federal staff on contracting? Where did that come from? What's the foundation of that?
So I think it first comes with service. You know, I grew up in a small town in Southern Virginia, where there weren't many opportunities past agricultural pursuits. So I was looking for other things to do, other things to be exposed to. And I'm thankful that the United States Navy and the federal government exposed me to a lot of things that I think I never would have had the opportunity to be exposed to in absence of that. So as a result of that career of 26 years, lots of places, lots of stops, and anyone that's been in, either on the military or the civilian side know that it's always a serendipitous journey. And you wonder how all of these dots and all these points connect. But then you, at the end, or as the dots do connect, you're like, there was actually a grand plan. So that grand plan was simply to get those experiences. And I now just want to make sure that our community doesn't have to have 26 years of experiences to get the benefits of government contracting and operating and doing business with the federal government.
Absolutely. So tell me, what were a couple of those dots that really, for you, made an impact and said entrepreneurship is doable? Because, as veterans, we've done a lot of things. We can do a lot of things. But what made you choose, after first serving in the Navy, then coming into the government? You could have been a corporate consultant easily, right? I mean, I'm sure they were throwing money at you. But what was the real crux of the dots that were connected over that span of your career that made you say, I want to be a CEO.
So Michelle, I'll share two. There are many, but I'll share
Yeah.
two that I think that really culminated in where I am today. The first was my granddaughter was born at age when I was 45 years old. My first grandchild, and she was a granddaughter. And I realized when I was at that point that I had at my minimum I was in federal government at the time. I'd made it to the senior executive service, had gone through a couple of tours, and I knew I had 11 more years
Wow.
before my actual retirement age. You know, it's
Wow.
like at the federal government, they said 57 is where you can get a full retirement. Based on my age and my time and grade, it was 57. And I was 45 at the time. And I was like, okay, what dawned on me is that no matter what I did for the next 11 or 12 years, I couldn't hand the keys off to that job or the keys to that office to my granddaughter.
Wow.
Or any of my or my kids because they had the right last name or the right DNA. There was no way I could do that. Just wasn't the same game. So I wanted to play a game where I could actually, at the end, I could hand the keys off. So that was the first one that says, okay, what could I do? What could I build in 12 years? No matter what I did in government, I couldn't give that wasn't a play. So I had to go and find a playbook that allowed me to hand the keys off. So I said, okay, I'm going to take these next 12 years, 11 and a half, 12 years, and I'm going to build something. And that will be the thing that I'll have the opportunity. I'll make sure that one of the plays in that playbook is when I'm done, I can hand the keys off to the next generation. So that was.
Did you develop the playbook while you were still in civilian service, or did you develop the playbook after, or was it
Oh, definitely after. Yeah, and that's a great setup question, because here's the next one. When I retired, after making that decision, about 6 months later, I had retired early and started and started as a consultant. I said, I need to understand the business side of the house. I didn't want to jump from getting from a W-2, getting a paycheck every 2 weeks to now having I have to sing for my supper every day without understanding the other side of the business. So I had an opportunity, found a great landing spot to have a consultancy, to be a consultant. And I was working in that consultant office, working in that office as a senior consultant. And in that job, my job was anything that came through that the consultant office was working on, this company was working on, that had anything to do with acquisition, it came across my desk first. I was kind of the daddy, acquisition guy. So I was the senior guy. And one day, a deal came across the desk where they were actually bidding me as some direct labor onto a contract. And I thought I had struck pay dirt when I was working for the consultancy. They were paying me $90 an hour.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
It averaged up to about $180,000 a year was my salary. And I was like, it's nirvana. There's nothing else after this.
Yeah, that's
and then when I looked in the contract, they were paying me 90, but they were bidding me out at 186. And I said, oh.
Say that again.
They were paying me 90, and I thought I was so pleased and happy at 90, and they were bidding me out on the contracts for $186, literally double. And that was the day I actually said I had the first peak of my real value, because government agencies were paying $186 for me, and the company was paying me $90 an hour. And
this is so like deja vu. I was just having a conversation with a group of ladies, entrepreneurs, who are mostly, I would say, in the startup. Some have been in business, but we were talking about giving your services away for free.
Yeah.
Okay, because in the military, we spend a lot of time we just serve. We just get it done. We just do the mission. And Absolutely. What I was telling them is, I said, there's nothing wrong with free. Everything I do is free, right? But that's a conscious, strategic, intentional decision.
Absolutely.
But the difference is I know my worth. I know what I'm giving for free.
Yes.
And what I was telling them is to look at the GSA rates, to begin to go look at what would even though they're solopreneurs mostly, I was telling them, I said, please go look at what what your market value is, right? I said, because if you understand your market value, then
Yes.
you can, I like to say, meter your free, right? It's not
Absolutely. Yes.
everything for free, but
Absolutely.
I'm gonna meter it. I'm gonna give this for free because all of us, and I'm gonna tell you, and we can have this whole conversation later because I'm just so excited you're here. But it's about the mindset, right? It took me years to change my mindset after
Yeah.
getting out of the military from free, but we have to realize we have value much greater than the salary of our grade when we were in service, one, and two, we have no, because everybody's paid the same. Think about it. A med tech or I'm going to say a nurse practitioner, that's probably better, and a supply officer, if they're the same grade, they're paid the same amount.
Correct.
So the ability to think about that, my value is different on the outside versus a nurse practitioner versus maybe a logistics, consultant is
Absolutely.
different, and we don't understand that. So most of what we need to do is market research, and that's something I'm really passionate about, is getting to know your customer, understanding the market, because then when you do free, you're not giving everything. You're saying, I'll give you free if you want to, and then
Yes.
say, hey, here's my proposal, here's my unsolicited, proposal. Or if you're, most of these folks are talking, this is free as B2B. That's what B2B is really what they're doing. And they think they have to prove before they can be worth, right? Something.
Absolutely.
And I'm trying to change the mindset. No, you are worthy now. You just haven't learned to translate that. But anyway, y'all got to get you back, because we just got to have, and feel free to come to our Wednesday demystifying government contracting session. But
Absolutely.
I want to let you bring up your slides,
Okay.
get to your presentation, because William is at the DoD Small Business Week. He is away. He's been so gracious with his time, and I want to be respectful of that. So thank you so much. Let me see. Did you get it up? Let me see. Let me make sure.
Let's see. It looks like it's coming.
Yep. You have the rights.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Looks like it's coming. I really appreciate the opportunity. It's amazing. What an amazing platform. The great work that you're doing. So worthy and so appreciated.
Thank you so much. I believe that many of the folks who want to come in government contracting see all this stuff about it's free, right? Free. Oh, it's free and it's easy, right?
Yes.
And what I want to say is that I see you right here. Let me see. Add to the stage. There you go.
Awesome.
But what it says is it's not easy. But if it was, everybody would do it. But
absolutely
done, and you just have to learn the game. So let me take myself. I'm going to remove myself so I'm not on the screen, and give you full view of just you and your presentation. Thanks. I'll be back.
Okay. Well, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. So I'm going to give you I assume a truncated version of our 6 C's of government contracting. This usually lasts about 45 minutes, but I'm going to give you the shortened version, but I think it could be just as powerful and helpful to you. Colleagues, I always use this slide when I'm talking about government contracting and my journey and others' journey, because these are some pictures that are very near and dear to my heart. Bottom left is when first day of school, I was living on my maternal grandfather's farm. Okay, first day of school, and I lived there from basically birth until about 7 years old. Top left is the farm that I lived on my paternal grandfather and grandmother's farm, and I lived there until I was 17 years, 8 months when I joined the Navy. Top right, caught the first thing smoking out of a small town. It's like, I'm out of here. And that was the United States Navy. And that journey took me all the way across the globe. I started in Virginia, and my first duty assignment was back in Virginia. But nevertheless, then the last picture, bottom right, is my last picture day inside of federal government. I was a senior executive service member working at Immigrations and Customs. That was the last picture day inside of the federal government. And then now I am in the entrepreneurial season of my career, of my life. And the takeaway that I ask you to draw from these pictures is that where you start has no bearing on where you can finish. Okay, where you start has no bearing on where you can finish. People talk about they're from the mud and the sticks. I can join that conversation because I'm absolutely from the mud and the sticks. But where you start has no bearing on where you can finish. So my journey, 5 years of the military, 21 years of federal government service, 3 years as an acquisition consultant, and then 4 years now as a government contractor. My desire is to share 33 years of experience with you in less than 45 minutes, or even less. So we're gonna go. Here's what I'm going to share with you, colleagues. I'm going to tell all the secrets. Okay, I'm giving you the cheat codes. Okay, these are all the secrets that I know that I've gathered in the government contracting space for the last 33 years or so. So I'm going to leave no question unanswered or no secret untold. So let's talk about the 6 C's of government contracting. There's a lot of information in this space, but I'm going to be boiling it down, and the framework that I'm going to use is 6 C's. There are 6 C's of activity that I think that we can talk about that will encapsulate very well what government contracting is and can be for you. Number 1 is capabilities. Number 1, capabilities. On the left-hand side, that's a graphical representation of doing just about enough, having a few categories of activity that you're in the government contracting space. The picture on the right is in doing entirely too much. In my career, I've seen lots of companies do entirely too much. They're a catering company, they're an automotive company, they're doing IT services, they're in cybersecurity, and then they do taxes on the back end. It's like, okay, doing entirely too much. And especially when the government is looking, they are looking for experts. They're looking for highly focused, highly engaged experts. So pick a few things to do and be highly focused and good and clear on those few things. Here's the 2 cheat codes. 1, know thyself. What do you do extremely well? The thing that you do extremely well is very important for you to understand. What is the thing or the small number of things that you do extremely well? And the reason for that is that you're going to have to compete in the marketplace. So any one thing that you're doing sorta, or you're just trying to tease out, please know that there's someone in the government marketplace that's been doing that thing for 17 years already. Okay, so you have to find the thing that you have what you can do extremely well, that you're well known for, that you can then build a competitive advantage. Building a competitive advantage, that's actually that's the holy grail of government contracting, having something that distinguishes you from your competition. Now, competitive advantages can look like technology, experience, personnel, even relationships. All of those are the building blocks of a competitive advantage, but you're going to have something that separates you from all the others, because if you're just one of many, you'll never be able to get into the winner's circle being one of many. You have to have something that sets you apart. Number 2 is customers. Customers. It's the 2nd C. In the U.S. government, 774 billion. That was the number. 774 billion. 12 billion in government credit cards. Just think about that. This was the numbers last year, fiscal year 23. Okay. And when we prepared this presentation, we were doing it for the state of Virginia. The state of Virginia itself had $106 billion worth of goods and services that were procured by the federal government. Just one state alone had $106 billion. Now, just want you to make sure, sometimes you got to see it. You got to see the whole number just to get the whole, the gravity of the dollar value. 106 billion, 122 million, $500,437. Okay, one state. Now, please know, yes, there's probably a aircraft carrier or a submarine or two in that number, but that is a lot of goods and services that are being procured in one state, and many other states are similar in that level of government spend. So the first thing that I would encourage you to do based on thinking about that spend is don't think about the spend. Okay, the number is too big to think about it in whole. What I think is more relevant for you to do is to figure out whom do you serve. You have to think about who is your ideal customer. Who is the avatar customer that you want to serve? It's too big to think about $774 billion worth of spend. But what are the agencies? What are the missions? What are the activities? What are the lines of business that you want to serve? My strategy for that is always pick 3 and 3. Pick 3 areas. Pick 3 areas that you want to be hyper focused on. Hopefully they're synergistic. Okay, for instance, in our business, we're in the training and development space, and we're in the management and consulting space. They're synergistic. They're brothers and sisters. Okay, so one leads to the other, and we can cross-pollinate. They're hyper synergistic. I don't add medical supplies into that dynamic. It's like, this is who we are. So pick 2 or 3, and then pick 3 agencies that you want to hyper focus on. Now, there's a reason that we choose a couple of agencies to pick hyper focus, because this is a relationship business, and you can't be in a relationship with 27 people or 13 agencies or 24 departments. Okay, so pick 3, in my opinion, at least as you're starting or as you're maturing up the organizational strategy or your organizational strategy, your business model. The thing you want to do is to pick 3 areas and three organizations to get hyper focused, so you can be hyper focused on the goods and services, so that you can build relationships and create a relationship that will be leveraged for work and good. Number 3 is compliance. Colleagues, I think about compliance in the government contracting space as a big game of survivor. Okay, your goal is to stay on the island, and the government's job is to try to vote you off. Okay, it's not that they're bad people. It's that but it is because that the government is charged to cast a broad net. They want to invite as many people as possible to participate. But in the end, they actually have to get down to one offerer, maybe 2 or 3 sometimes, but most of the time it's 1. So you're going from hundreds to 1. Now, it wouldn't be bad if the government could start with 3 and get to 1, but the request of small business and all of the advocates for entrepreneurship and business say, cast the broadest net possible, invite as many people as possible. So then, as a result of that, they have to use strategies and tactics from the time they invite as many people as possible to get them down to 1 offerer, 1 successful awardee. So please understand that the compliance piece is just about, it's the first test. Don't get too cute with it. I've seen lots of people try to shrink the margins or try to sneak in a cute font or put some words in the picture. They said, "Ooh, they didn't say we couldn't add content to the picture, so let's put more pictures in our presentation." It's like, look, when they say 5 pages with a 12 point font and 1-inch margins, do that, because it's the first test. They're looking to see, is this person actually going to be a good partner? You'll be surprised when we look at it from the inside. I put my contracting officer hat back on. That's the first test to see if is this somebody we actually want to work with and do business with, because we're about to go on a 12-week, 12-month, sometimes 12-year, but most of the time a 5-year arrangement. Okay, most of the time it's a 5-year arrangement. So the base and the options. This is we're getting married for 5 years. This is really the person we want to get married to. Business, from a business perspective. So don't be too cute. Just give them what they ask for. And then the tool that I always recommend people use is build a compliance matrix. It's just the easiest way that I found over time when I was in government and now as a government contractor, is building a compliance matrix. It says, look, these are all the things, pull out all the things that the government is asking for, throw them in an Excel spreadsheet, and make sure you can color all those blocks. Okay. And once you get all those blocks colored, then you're good to go. Okay. And you're not done until you get all the blocks checked. So it's a really, in my opinion, it's a very easy way of articulating and figuring out and getting to a compliance level that will be successful for you. Is simply building a tool that allows you to be responsive. Number four is communicate. Okay, communicate. Colleagues, to communicate in government contracting, this is what business development is all about. This is what the idea and the concept of business development is all about. I have a strategy that I've built over time, okay, that I call the 4 pots business development strategy. The 4 pots business development strategy. Here are the 4 pots. Number 1, each government contractor, in my opinion, should have a business development model, a strategy, is activity that allows them to be prime contracts, to be a prime contractor, to pursue prime contracts. Now, that may be just a sam.gov pull or use some business development. Someone should be looking all the time for prime contracting opportunities. The next pot on the stove should be your subcontracting pot on the stove. Okay, looking for opportunities to be a successful subcontractor. Now, to do that, you must be effective. You must know who's winning work in your space. You must know who the top 10 large primes are and the top 10 larger smalls are in your space that are winning work, because those are your subcontracting partners, your potential subcontracting partners. And there should be some business activity, some business development activity around understanding who's winning work in your market and how you can be known to them and how you can participate. The third pot in this business development model is the similarly situated. Okay, now this is a term of art used in the small business circles, the meaning that smaller businesses with the same socioeconomic characteristics come together and they go into the marketplace as a larger entity. They show up as a larger entity. Now, that could be formally, as in joint ventures, okay, but it could be just simply, look, we're going to partner with each other. We're going to collaborate with each other. It could be a subprime, but it's 2 smalls or 3 smalls or 4 smalls that are getting together for things that they would not have been able to do on their own, but with 3 or 4 partners similarly situated. Oh, they show up as amazing women-owned small businesses, or amazing service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses, or amazing hub-zone businesses. Okay, we can do this. We can do this. And then the fourth is micro purchasing. I believe every government contractor, everyone should have a micro purchasing strategy, something that allows you to do small bite-sized value of work, of activity for agencies, to plant seeds for them to test out what is valuable to them. Okay, and then have connective tissue to higher and more fruitful government contracting opportunities. It has connective tissue. You buy something small, you give the government something small to chew on and test, and then it has connective tissue up the value chain for the next big thing. These are micro purchases, $10,000 or below, and then the next thing could be $25,000. Next thing could be $250,000. Next thing could be $1 million. But it has connective tissue. But you start with something small just to prove out you know how to play the game. So here are the couple of key hints. If you build it, they will come. Only works in the movies, colleagues. It only works in the movies. We have to let people know we exist. So the ability to tell your story is critical to your success. If you build it, and that's all that happens, it just stays built. Okay, no one will come. No one will know you exist unless you let them know. And then I have used the strategy of the goal of government contracting, business development, and communications is to be interesting, okay, and to be sticky, meaning that your idea, your concept, your persona, your presence is around after you're gone. It's like, oh, they were pretty cool. We should talk to them more. You want to be sticky, but please know that you want to make sure that you aren't doing proposals of matrimony on the first date. Okay, no one's getting married on the first date. It's kind of like going to the bar or going to the club with a ring box and just walking around and asking people, "Will you marry me? Will you marry me? Will you marry me?" Okay, that's not going to work out. That's not going to. The odds are against you. The odds are against you in that situation. Okay, the first meeting is designed to get the second meeting. Always remember the goal of the first meeting is to get the second one. Number 5 is cooperation. Cooperation. Please know that government contracting, from a business development perspective, is not about demand creation. There's a small amount of government contracting where people are bringing new ideas, new concepts to the marketplace, and they're trying to entice the government. They're trying to create demand based on their goods and services. Most of, I think 95% plus of government contracting is about demand capture, meaning they purchase billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of goods and services every year. It's been over $600 billion for the last 10 years, for the last decade. So it's about capture. It's about identifying what goods and services you are uniquely qualified to deliver and putting a fence around it and saying, this is for me. This, now I'm going to compete for this, instead of trying. We never have to go on the sidewalk with a spinny sign and saying, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Okay, that's not the game. That happens a lot on the commercial side, that we have to grow. We have to grow customers. You don't have to grow customers on the government side. You just have to convince them that you're the deliverer. You're the deliverer of choice. So demand capture over creation. The next is risk reduction over price. It has been my experience, both in and out of government, that the government will pay a premium for reduced risk. As a former contracting officer, it was always a good day. It was always a good day when I could stay out of the newspaper, off of 60 Minutes, and off Fox News. And that was every day. If we ended the day without being in the newspaper, being on 60 Minutes, or being on Fox News, that was a good day. Okay, so as a result of that, government programs, government acquisition programs are positioned to try to have the lowest risk, to accept the lowest risk possible. So they want low risk reduced solutions. What I've seen over time, what I'm not just seeing, what I've participated in over time, is that they're actually willing to pay a price for reduced risk. So I encourage you, as you go into the marketplace, think about risk reduction. Okay, price matters. Okay, don't get me wrong, price matters. There's not unlimited budgets out there, but if you can identify risk and reduce them for the government is willing to pay for that. And then this is back to cooperation. Being a prime sub relationships, I believe in teams. I believe in partnerships, collaborations, joint ventures. I actually don't care what version it shows up, that we have to work together. We have to work together. And I believe, I even go as far as the pinky promise works too. If you can get together and get the pinky promise that says we can work together, I believe that's just as effective. We have again, the big number, 774 billion, is too big. We couldn't do it all if we wanted to. If we were given it all, we couldn't do it all. So we need to be thinking about how do we show up larger and more mature and more effective in the marketplace. And I believe one of the ways to do that is we can win together. Now, number 6, some of you might think it's like, well, number 6 has to be cash, or has to be certifications, or has to be credit. And I'm just suggesting to you that no, That's not, while those are important, and all of them have a role to play in an effective government contracting business, it's not the sixth C. My friends, the sixth C is commitment. The sixth C is commitment. If you choose to get on the bicycle, ride the bicycle that is government contracting, and your job is to keep the light on, then you're going to have to ride and you're going to have to pedal every day. You're going to have to pedal to keep the light on. You're going to have to pedal every day. It's not episodic. It's not a light switch. You can't just come in and turn it on when you want to. You're going to have to do the work and do the activity to be effective every day. You're planting some seed every day. In my belief, it has been my experience that whenever there's big muscle movements, big things, we need to move big things, you have to have just as much fuel is equal to the muscle movement, the energy you're trying to release. So when we want to do big things, we need to understand who our fuel is. So my question to you is, who or what is your fuel? Okay, what is your fuel? Okay, everyone should have one. Okay, for those hard days and those tough days when you're going to need one more hour and you're going to need one more, you got to send one more email, you got to talk to one more person, you got to shake one more hand, you got to write one more paragraph, one more RFI, one more source of salt, one more proposal. Who or what is your fuel that's driving that? I'll share mine with you. Those are our grandbabies. Okay, 3 have landed and one's in process. Okay, but those are the grandbabies. These are one of the largest reasons we do what we do in the business. Okay, now we're good as a family. We've got a house, a couple cars, and we go on vacations. We do all the things we want to do. Okay, but we're actually doing the activity now. So we're good. We could just stop. Okay, we have the saying in the country, just to sit on a stump. That's what that meant. The old man, whenever things were happening on the farm, the old guy, his job was just to sit on the stump. Okay, because his physical days are over, but his mind and his experiences could be used. So we're on sit on the stump. We're in the sit on the stump season, but we're still making things happen for the next generation. I want to share an African proverb with you. It goes like this: the greatest love is to plant a tree whose shade and fruit you will not enjoy. So just process that for a minute. Real love is to plant a tree, effort, okay, who the results of that effort, the shade and the fruit, you will not enjoy. What that says to me, colleagues, is that it's not about me. It's not about you. It's like, who are we doing the activity for? If you need some motivation, who should we be out there planting trees for now? Okay, we won't see them. We likely won't see them. And I think that's okay. So who are we using this time in order to shape for the next generations? I am often reminded, or I often remind myself, that I'm the 4th generation of Williams. There are Williams that go 4 generations back. And great grandpa Willie, this was the first William, great grandpa Willie. He didn't know that this 4th Willie was going to show up, that I was going to be here. There was no way for him to imagine that I would be here and I would be me. But what he did was he did the things he was supposed to do. In 4 generations ago, Grandpa Willie just bought the farm. He just went to the coal mines and worked, saved his money, and then went to Virginia and bought the farm. So we don't know what 4 generations are gonna look like from now. It's not for us to know. Our job is to plant the trees. If you need some more push, some more motivation, please know that the federal government and states take tax dollars out of our communities every year. April 15th was just not that long ago, okay, for individual tax returns, and March for business returns, not that long ago. Okay, so it should be fresh. Please know that those tax dollars leave our communities every year. I pose to you that government contracting is a strategy to bring some of those dollars back. Okay, bring some of those dollars back. We have allies and advocates and people that care about righting past wrongs in our various communities. We have allies and they help us, and we are appreciative of that. But I just don't believe anyone cares about or should care about our communities as much as we do. We know what the children need. We know what our religious organizations or our social organizations or what our educational organizations, we know what the fabric of our communities need. Okay, and no one should care more or resource them more than us. So we need to bring those dollars back so we have command over them. Okay, that's my opinion. We should have command over those dollars because that's where the real power is. One thing is having exposure to the dollars. The most important thing is to be able to decide what gets done with them. Okay. Folks, I believe that one more set of motivations or incentives for you is that somewhere in your lineage, someone backwards, someone had the hopes, the dreams, the aspirations, the willingness, the desire, the guts, the knowledge, the capability to dream a big dream. I mean, they had a humongous dream. And someone told them no. Someone told them no. Didn't matter how big the dream was. Didn't matter how well they were prepared. Didn't matter the guts they had, the determination that they had, the resolution that they had to see it through. Someone told them no. And they told them no so many times that they stopped asking about it. And they then stole them so many times that they stopped talking about it. But I believe, colleagues, that they didn't stop dreaming about it. They might have stopped asking about it. They might have stopped talking about it, but they didn't stop dreaming about it. I'm the dream for my families. Okay, I'm the dream. I'm the one, I think, on the Moore side on one side and the Randolph side on the other. I'm the one that they dreamed about, the one that would do it. And I feel them sometimes cheering for me. Okay, I'm the one. I'm the one. I'm the one that they prayed for. I'm the one that that tears fell for. That one day it would be different. Okay, and I'm the one. And my question to you is: are you, for your family, for your families, are you the one? In every family, there is that one person that changes the trajectory of the family. It's a unique person. They have something different from all generations and all branches backwards. It's the one. It's the one. We often see them as they have the oil painting in the library for them. It's like, oh, she was the one that changed everything from us. And after them, everything else changed. They bent success in a different way, in a different manner, changed the entire trajectory for all those that follow. I'm the one for my family. I'm the one willing to get up early. I'm the one willing to stay up late, to be cold when it's cold, to be hot when it's hot, to do all the things that are necessary to change the trajectory of the family. I'm the one. And my question for you is, are you the one? Are you for your family? Are you the one that's going to have the oil painting? It's like, she was the one that changed the game. He was the one that changed the trajectory of the family for for generations to follow. So let's bring this back to government contracting. We know that this is a strategy, this is a tactic, this is a business. This is a business endeavor. There are many, but this is the one that I have chosen, and sounds like one that many of you have chosen. Government contracting, it can be all the things you want it to be. Okay. It's set up for us. I believe this is the high watermark. Okay, this is as good as it may get for various communities in this country, especially when it comes to government contracting. Okay, the exposure and access to government contracting, a lot of time and energy and resources are being put into access. I've never seen it like this. I've been around it 30 some odd years, and I've never seen it like this. The much access and exposure. I think now is the time. If not now, I don't know when. And I'm not confident that the pendulum will continue in its current trajectory. Okay, the pendulum may swing back. So my last questions to you are, I want you to be the dream. I want you to plant the tree, and I want you to be the one. Okay. And these are the questions you got to decide. But my desires for you is to be the dream for your family, plant the tree for your next generations, plural, and be the one today to decide to be the one. I'm the one. I'm capable. Okay? The time is right. The environment is right. I'm the one. So thank you very much. And it is my pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, William, not only for educating us, but for empowering us to be the change, be the dream, be the one. I just absolutely love it. So many folks focus on the business part, and they don't necessarily focus on themselves, their vision, their why. And I think, you just exemplified that's the gas in the tank. That's what makes the plane fly, all of those things. Can you tell us how to get to you? Tell us what some of the things you're working on, how you're serving, not only the federal community, but small businesses, et cetera.
Oh, thank you so much. So our latest endeavor, and I think our greatest endeavor also, is micromarket.co. Micromarket is a two-sided marketplace designed exclusively for connecting vendors with micro purchase services opportunities, to connect them with the over 1 million credit card holders, purchase card holders that are inside of government. Those 1 million folks last year did 17 million transactions.
Wow.
Okay. And those transactions totaled $12.7 billion. Micro purchase services. Now, most of those are in product side. Okay. But about 70% are products, and there's lots of places to go get products. But when we looked in the marketplace, there was no one place to go for services. So we're building that place. Micromarket.co is designed exclusively for micro purchase services, $10,000 or below, in the 14 categories that the government currently spends in the microservices arena. We didn't try to recreate the wheel. We just gave them a faster wheel. Okay, just a better wheel.
And you took a horse and buggy to
Oh, that's kind. That's kind. We have 404 vendors. Just right before we left home, we onboarded our 404th vendor on the platform. So if anyone is interested in joining, I encourage you to do so. Please come and take a look.
Follow you as well.
Yes, please. LinkedIn. That's kind of where I live. Nowhere near the draw in the audience you have, Michelle, but I'm coming up close. I'm coming.
Hey, join us. Come on, let's partner. I'm
Absolutely. So yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, and if you're looking for information on Micromarket, the email address is info micromarket.co, and now you'll be able to get in contact with us directly. But I'd welcome you to come take a look around, and I would be honored. I think every business should have a micro purchases strategy, and if you have it existing already, great. We built this for those that did not have the infrastructure. We wanted to invite those. We wanted a welcoming place for people to learn about government contracting. In my opinion, there are so many companies out there that are glad. All you have to do is go on Instagram or on Facebook, and there's plenty of people that will charge you $15,000 to teach you how to win $1 million government contracts. And I'll just tell you, I just want to let people know how hard that is. That's not easy to win government contracts. And people think it's like, well, if I just go through the boot camp, contracts will just start falling out of the sky. I believe, because this was the journey that I took, there is a crawl, walk, run, fly approach to government contracting. So those of you that may be in your crawling and walking phase, okay, this may be a place for you to learn the business. I think there's a business model of understanding government contracting, the language, the nuances, the roles, the responsibilities, how water flows inside of government, knowing the seasonality of when activity is happening in the year, how money is flowing through the organizations. That's information that I think is critical, and it is necessary to build an effective government contracting business. When it's time to run and fly, you've actually built the muscles that can actually allow you to run and fly.
We're getting a great presentation. Best speaker ever. Thank you. Getting lots of love out there.
Thank you.
You have time for a question or two if somebody
Sure.
Has
Absolutely.
Let's see. Anybody got a question? If not, I got some. I love a great mind, and I call it intellectual tennis. Anybody who's willing to talk, government contracting in a way that is more about increasing the thought leadership around the field, I'm all for it. There's a bunch of folks out there saying, pay me this and I'll guarantee you that. And I tell people the story of my story is I spent 27 years in the military. You heard me talk about this $1 billion, and I thought, I got this thing. I'm about to do this thing. So I retired. After retiring, I started a business that's now in business and name only. No money is generated, but GI Strategic Solutions. And I was a subcontractor to two SDVOSBs. And I have a saying that I use, it sucks to sub. And the reason I said that is because one, I didn't know the game. I didn't know the language. I didn't know my market value, right? Yeah. And what happened was, much like you, I found out through the core or the COTAR. I was a single FTE on doing strategic planning for the Undersecretary of the Air Force.
Wow.
Which is I love, just spent, like 4 months meeting with her team, devising. Sure. Then we culminated with a big offsite. And the guy, the core at the end said, oh my God, this has been amazing. The boss is so happy. We had to add $50,000 on the CLIN, $50,000 CLIN. And I'm like, $50,000. Well, I didn't even make it. It's criminal what they paid me. I'm just gonna tell you. I didn't know. I'm going to tell you, this is why I'm passionate about helping small businesses under. I didn't have taxes included in my fees. I didn't have the FICA. I didn't have my travel. I didn't have, any of the, I'm just buying and doing stuff because you know how we veterans are. We just going to make it happen.
Make it work. Just make it work.
And that's what I did, only to come to find out, they probably made 90% profit. And I'm the only person on the contract on that CLIN now. How
Trust me, I know. I understand.
How much they've taken to say, Michelle, that's kind of a little low. Let me help you, right?
Yeah.
But then I've had other people I've worked with that said, hey, you learned your lesson. I bet you're not going to do that anymore.
Yes.
And I tell people, just because you learned the hard way and people did you wrong is not a reason to think I need to go to, to the roughest boot camp ever, learning and failing, because that's how about you teach me? Because I believe you love how you've been loved, you teach how you've been taught, and you coach how you've been coached,
Yeah.
and you mentor how you've been mentored. So why not instead, let's treat each other well. Let's work together. Like you said, I love the similarly situated model. I think we need to do more of that. But tell me, what's your thoughts? Oh, did somebody have? Oh, here's a question I put on the screen. If you have a service-based business, can that work with the micro market you just mentioned? This is from Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie. So absolutely, that's actually what it's designed for, is service-based businesses. We have no products on the platform. So let me clarify that. We have some folks that have products, but they've turned those into services. For instance, someone wrote a book and they said, "Hey, I want to sell the book on the platform." I said, "Sorry, we don't sell products on the book, but products on the platforms." So what we did is we got on a call, and in about 20 minutes, we figured out that she could do a half-day seminar with the author and add the books as part of the offering. So she's doing a half-day workshop seminar on her book with the author, and that turns what would be a product into a service. So the answer is yes. There are absolutely ways. There are 14 categories of services on the platform and an others category. So anything that doesn't fit neatly in any of the other categories, fine. We have a home for everybody as long as it's a service and it's something that the government purchases. We have a home for everybody, and then we ever so often we look in the other bucket, and if we see a trend there, we graduate those others, those one or two others, into their own category. So we birth categories out of the other. So other is not a place to die. Other it's actually a place to be birthed.
So while the government is doing category management, you're doing category development.
You got it. Exactly. You got it.
I love it. Somebody asked, what was your website again? I put it up. I do want to say that, all views and opinions shared here are Williams and my
That's
own.
mine.
That's right. Like the opinions of the Department of Veteran Affairs or any, other government agencies. We do encourage you to seek out, tax, legal, financial, and business advice unique to your business, because here's what people think. And I'll let you answer this question. People think all advice applies equally to any kind of business. Can you expound on why it's important to really seek out unique advice and counsel?
Absolutely. There are so many bifurcations and trifurcation splits inside of business. So, the government commercial one is one, and that's a huge one because it's a two sets of rules on both sides. Once you go down the government side, then you have products and services. That's a huge split. There's operations there. Then there are dollar values. So, when you're working at $10,000, that's different than $200,000, which is different than 2.5 million. Each one of those levels have a different set of knowledge, skills, and abilities that are or characteristics that apply to those areas. So yes, it's very important to be hyper focused on where you are today. Hunt in the area where you can hunt. Okay. And then learn what you can for your space. And then from there, it's okay to grow. This is this concept inside of business development. It's called penetrate and radiate. It's like you gotta penetrate first. You can't penetrate with bringing back our military experiences. You can't penetrate with a blunt object. You got to be hyper focused to penetrate. You got to have something sharp to penetrate. But once you get in, then you can open up all you want. So penetrate and then radiate. That's the in my opinion, that's the business development strategy that works best in government.
I agree. I couldn't hold. I mean, and it works in local and state government. Drill in your own backyard. I tell people, you can you pay taxes there. You can walk in the door there. Don't people always say, oh, it's hard to get in touch with people and figure out the org structure and who's the decision maker. Well, some of that is taken away in your local state government, your port authorities, your school systems, your transit authorities. all of those places have opportunity for you to be, just like William mentioned, to be very focused and penetrate that and then spread out. And I would like for you to expand, if you have a minute, about the importance of all the things about the diversity of the complexity of the work, how important that is to translate that in your capability statement, right?
Yes.
Not, go ahead. I think you understand the question.
Yes. So it is the ability to be focused yet diverse, and so it's a balance. It's a very fine line. Again, I've seen government contractors that try to do everything, and I think it comes from a good place. They, from an opportunistic, kind of point of view, is like, okay, if I'll do whatever. But sadly, in the federal government space, that is viewed as, in many areas, as someone that's not hyper serious and focused on being one thing. Even the big guys, you think about the big companies in government contracting, they're known for one or two things. They're known
Yes.
for one or two
Yeah.
things. They don't do everything.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, the Deloittes, the Booz Allens, they are, and if they aren't focused, they have different business lines that
Yes.
are focused. Right?
Yeah, they just stand up a new business. Right.
Exactly. Focused by agency, focused by, particular capability. They have health IT in addition to IT,
Yes.
so all of that.
Yeah.
And that model, we as small businesses should model that, take that model.
Absolutely. And Michelle, I don't think that model works or has been used because of the lack of ability to manage wide. I think it is because it focuses the relationships.
Ooh, that's a good word.
Because in this business, it is all about relationships. Yes, we have terms and conditions and policies and strategies and rules and regulations. We got this thing called the FAR. We got all that stuff. But underpinning all that and gluing it all together is relationships. So
people, sorry to interrupt, people say that's the hardest part. Like, there's no shortage of knowledge, right? There's no shortage of information. If you don't have knowledge, you can buy knowledge or go get knowledge with the internet. But the relationship, people say, oh, they don't call me back. I've sent 5 emails. When I see them, they're very generic about their responses. What do you think, as a former insider? I want to call you that. What would you say to a small business trying to build a relationship? What's your view on how to do that I'll use Guy Timberlake, in a ethical stalking manner?
I have a 3 strategy approach. Strategy 1 is know thyself. Okay. You have to understand who you are and what uniquely you bring into the marketplace. We have to start there. Okay. Many people want to start with the customer. We have to start with ourselves. So that number 1 is know thyself. Number 2 is then know thy customer. Okay. Now let's do the pattern matching based on who I am. Let's go look in the whole of government and find the pattern match customer, the avatar that is the consumer of our goods and services, how we do them, who buys, what we sell, how we sell it.
Yes.
Okay. And then number 3 is then do thy homework.
Okay. What I've had, there are people who say, why is people always telling me to go do something? I think I'm going to say, this is my platform, so I'm just going to say it. I think that it's easy. I've been asked, where's the checklist? This shouldn't be so hard. Can't we just, can't, why are they making it so hard? They're acting like they don't really want us. But again, I think it goes back to your point about risk and responsibility, right? It's a responsibility to the taxpayers.
Yes. We have to be, we used to say, when I was in government, we are the stewards of the taxpayers' dollars and their trust.
True.
It's not just the dollars, it's the trust. So what comes along with that is lots of transparency. We have lots of people that look at the system and just waiting for something to go wrong. lots of detractors out there. I mean, everybody's got the big eyes on, looking for for something to go wrong. So as a result of that, it's a process. So if you can build a relationship where the government realizes that you have the same motivations and incentives as they do, low risk delivery of exceptional products and services, then the government will bring you along. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the stories of people getting the phone call that says, "Hey, we got something. We want to throw it your way. Are you willing to talk about it? Have a conversation about it?" That's someone. That's not someone. I won't tell my age a little bit, but that's not someone picked out of the phone book. Phone books are going the way of the dodo bird now. Don't have phone books. Don't have phone books anymore. But that's just not somebody just flipping through the phone book and picking a number. That's someone that has had a conversation, that has a relationship. They've had a connection. They understand that person, at least on the surface, has some ability to deliver and produce. Likely has some past performance. That's how you get the call. That's how you get the calls. So it's relationship based.
So people go to these events, right? You're at an event, but it's mostly government, a few vendors there. But a lot of folks go to these large industry events, even small industry events, and it's like they're window shopping. They don't know what they want to buy. I mean, they don't know what they want to sell. They don't know who's buying it. How important is it to have a strategy before you go to those events?
Yeah, it goes back to the 3: know thyself, know thy customer, do thy homework. So when you have an opportunity to have the conversation, you actually have something that, back to the stickiness, you have something to say that has some stickiness to it.
Yes.
Okay, that they will remember you. Because when you go to these events, I had the same event. We went to the Black Chamber of Commerce event last week, and I left there with a stack of cards of people. We had some exchanges. But there was a subset of folks in that stack of cards that I was like, I got to remember this person.
Yes.
And now my strategy is always, I immediately take the card and turn it over, and I put the note back. So if anyone wanted to know what the cheat code was, it's like, if William is interested, did he turn your card over? That's the cheat code. Okay, because I want to remember. So I think people want to be. The goal should be to be memorable. So that comes with homework, understanding of the organization, the mission, the people, the activities, the programs, all the stuff.
And you said about not asking to be married on the first date. The most of the guys or gals you remember when dating is because they seem to see you. They seem to get you, right? They talked about something that was of interest to you. They weren't necessarily talking so much about themselves. What do you think about that? Because I meet people all the time. Oh, I want to tell you, I've got this great IT and they want to go into this thing. And I'm like, whoa, you don't even know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
I don't have a contract.
Agreed.
I don't even influence. I don't even know. Any procurement sensitive. But what I do know is I know people who do. So it needs to be more about you. And you talked about your story. Your why it's important to me. It may not be important to all people, but one of the things I tell the ladies is, let the customer lead. Like when you're dancing, a lot of times we want to lead the customer. And generally that only happens after the trust is there. Built.
Correct.
But you can't lead coming up and just saying, well, I want to do this way. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, when we advise companies when they're doing capabilities briefings or they have opportunities to do capabilities briefings or follow-ups, we always use the 1/3, 2/3. No matter how much time you have, let's say it's 30 minutes.
Yes.
1/3 of that time should be you talking about you.
Yes.
2/3 of that time should be you teeing up questions that the organization can talk about themselves. Okay?
Yes.
That the customer can talk about themselves, because you. Why are you you're there to hear you say more about you? No, you want to get information about the company. So have the list of questions that'll prompt them to talk about them. 2/3 of the time, your customer should be talking about the customer and their experiences, their wants, needs, hopes, dreams, and aspirations. So no matter how much time, if you got 15 minutes, 5 minutes is yours, 10 minutes is theirs. Okay? 1/3, 2/3, break it up. So, and then have the prompting, have done the homework enough to have the prompting question. So what's happening in this program? I noticed that you all, awarded this contract last year for this amount. When is the next time is that going to be recompeted? How is the current contract going? All those are prompting questions that encourage encourage the organization, the agency, the department to talk about their experiences, which is what you want to get out of the relationship anyway.
And so true, because, when you get time with a federal employee or decision maker, anybody who's in the, I call it the sphere of influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to maximize that, because that you don't get that all the time.
No, you don't.
I mean, I think sometimes people think they're entitled to time, right? But there's so many small businesses and there's so much work on the desk, right? Trying to achieve the mission of the organization that they don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
Make the best of it.
Make the best of stand out, be interesting. You have to be interesting. You have to be sticky. Okay, you really have to be sticky. And sticky shows up in a couple of fashions. One, empathy. It's like, ooh, I've done enough homework to understand the situation or the mission that you're in. Ooh, if someone shows empathy, you're willing to have a conversation about that. Okay.
Exactly.
If you have unique information about the agency, unique information about a line of business or some technology or some service. There was a question. There was a question in the chat. I saw someone asking about services. Imagine if you could have a meeting. If you have an opportunity to talk with someone that has a requirement that's coming, they're doing market research of some services. Let's call it financial services. Okay, let's pick something that's very ubiquitous. There's a lot of folks doing it, but how do you stand out? One, it's like you go back and read I saw who has the last contract. Were you all happy with the last contract? Okay. I saw you all that contract was slated to be a 5-year contract and you all burned it off in 3.5 years. That's a sign. You all have a lot of requirements in this space. Okay. Yeah. What type of financial, what GAO audit. I saw IG audit came through.
I love that.
Okay. It's like you have to do the homework because you can find the nuggets to be interesting.
And I think your point of only three customers is so important. Are you saying 3 agencies? Or are you saying 3 specific customers?
I would go as far as to say 3 customers, because let's say if you're in the IT space, you're only going to have one CIO in an organization, one CIO office. So if maybe that entire CIO office you're focused on, or maybe the financial management office in that agency. But why I say 3, and Michelle, you just picked up on it, is because it allows you to get deep.
Yes.
You can't get deep on 17 agencies or 17 offices, but you can go deep on 3 offices, and you may know more about their office. In the end, the goal is to know more about their office than they do.
You know what's so funny? When you said that, I was thinking it triggered the number 17. About the year in college, I took 17 credits. It was a full load. I was like, oh my God, it's about to go crazy. So you're saying 3 credits is a full load, enough for you to do your homework, to say, this is what I bring to the table.
Yes.
That is of value. I know my value. I know my company. And then your ability to do the homework would then translate into how my products align with what they are service.
Absolutely. And you don't have to stay at 3. This is the penetrate and radiate. You don't stay 3. I'm just saying, when most small businesses have one thing in common. They have finite resources. That's why they're small. Okay. That's why they're small. They have finite resources. So if you have how do you deploy finite resources? Do you peanut butter spread finite resources over 20 agencies? Or do you pick three offices and say, I'm going to go deep. I'm going to find the org chart. It's somewhere online. I'm going to find the org chart. I'm going to find the people. I'm going to look them up on LinkedIn. I'm going to send them some notes. I'm going to talk. I'm going to do all the things to understand more about their organization than I do. than they do. And then when it's time to have the conversation, I have a greater chance of being interesting and sticky.
Let me tell you, there's a guy that Coach Sean Austin that is on with me every Wednesday. He built a relationship with JP Morgan, and the point about you saying, tell them more about themselves than they know. Do you know he did the research and told the JP Morgan folks that JP Morgan was founded and started funding government contracts?
Wow.
Talk about going up. And the people were like,
Yeah.
really? Can you send that to us? We didn't even know that. So do you think he's got their attention?
And sticky. Yeah, sticky. He's got their attention.
He's got their attention. Well, do you want any more questions, y'all, before I do want to be respectful of your time. I know you might be wanting to go to some of the networking and
yes
things. But we don't have any questions right now, but I'm going to tell you, it's been fire in the chat. Any last words? And I'm going to put you on the spot. I want you to join us. You are welcome any Wednesday from 7 to 8, because the generosity that you have shared here with us, your knowledge, your heart, your spirit is amazing. And as you can see, folks are interested in knowing more. But I just think you would be a huge addition to the folks who already have. So I want to extend the invitation to come join us. We won't be doing it this Wednesday. You'll be there, but next Wednesday we'll be picking it up from 7 to 8 p.m. So you want to leave with some last words, and I thank you so much.
So yes, thank you, Michelle, first for the invite, and second for sharing your community with me. I guess three things. One, it's for us. Government contracting is for us. We can do this. We can do that. Whatever your us is, however you describe your us, okay, it's for us. We can do this. It takes time and energy. It's a discipline, okay? So you can't just jump into it and just think contracts are just going to fall out of the sky. Like any discipline, there are strategies, tactics, and techniques, and rules, and best practices that need to be deployed to be successful. But in the end, which is number three, is it's a very rewarding entrepreneurial endeavor. And you can have outsized value for the inputs. You can have outsized value. And if you're looking for a place to start, please come on over to micromarket.co. Check us out. Check out our YouTube channel and our Becoming a Vendor page, and come and join us. We'd welcome to have you. Thank you.
No, thank you, and enjoy your time there. I think you're all in Chicago this year.
Chicago, yes.
So hopefully it's not too cold, and you're in the hotel, so you don't have to walk outside.
Yes, yeah, we're in and settled. Thank you.
Wonderful. Again, thank you, William Randolph. You can find him at micromarket.co, and you'll see him again because he's going to join us on some Wednesdays when his schedule allows.
I would be honored.
Thank you. We'll talk to you later.
All the best. Be well.
Thanks. All right, y'all. We have a little less than 30 minutes left. I'm going to give you all a opportunity to ask me anything. For the next few minutes. If not, we're going to finish up, and we have some amazing things coming. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking a nonprofit. If you are a nonprofit, have a desire to even start a nonprofit, and you want to understand how to leverage SCORE and SCORE mentorship, we'll be having that with Miss Linda Gray. We'll also have this week, we'll be hearing about cybersecurity. We'll be getting some more stories of small businesses this week. I'll be talking a lot about relationships, right? And about the importance of the relationship piece. I think we spend a lot of time on, let's just get the business, let's just get in there. But I think the relationship piece is something that we need to think about, because we all know, we've heard it before. People do business with who they know, like, and trust, right? But the reality is, how do you get them to know you, then like you, then trust you? When they get to the trust part, a partner, a government partner, will see you as part of their solutions. They will say, oh my God, they've got a solution. They're helping us go further than we could without them. Let us listen to the industry trends, the new innovative ways that they're trying to do this particular product or service. So, that's what it's really about. That's where we're trying to go. And I'm going to talk to you about a little bit more about getting to know your customer, how to do that, what's a strategy to do that, and how important the homework is. And that's why you may date around, but you can't date everybody at the same time. There are people who have built their entire company and been successful off of wooing and building relationships in the same agency. So phenomenal, because just like William said, they went down and then they went out, right? They went in and went to one customer, made them very happy. And then they said, oh, can you do this too? And then it spread. Can you do this too? Can you do that too? And then once you are successful, you've got past performance within that agency. You understand their language. You understand their culture. You understand how they buy. You understand the type of funds they buy with. You understand their issues. And so I'll be talking about that this week. I'll be sprinkled throughout talking about the importance of relationships. I'll also be talking about equity and government contracting and some of the things that you can do to help federal agencies be more successful. And again, it's about the homework, about understanding what are they doing when it comes to equity and government contracting, because every federal agency has an equity action plan. That is a plan that the President Biden, required them to submit to OPM to show these are the actionable things we're going to do to get to underserved communities. And I think William said us. And what he means by us, when you're looking at socioeconomic categories, that's small veteran, woman, service disabled, minority, hub zone. That is also, it's mentioned in there, LGBTQ, although there is not an official set aside for that category. It is mentioned in the Equity Action Plan because many corporate companies have set asides for LGBTQ plus. So, just knowing the business is about understanding the landscape. I call it, it's a new AOR, a new area of responsibility, a new area of revenue. You got to understand, I'm now deploying to a different country. What language do they speak? What clothes do they wear? What's the weather there? What are the places and the people like? How do I, blend in and become part of that country's culture? So all of the things, that's all the things that that we'll be talking about later this week. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I am going to sign off early. I'll give you a few more minutes before I end. And thank you, Stephanie, for joining and for your comments. Stephanie Green. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Shante. Thank you. I know Ron was on. So I can see most of your comments, but some of the comments I can't see. Some of them, they come up, or depends on whether I'm connected with you or not. So if you don't follow me, please follow me. You can always send me a message in the DMs on LinkedIn. It's my pleasure. I am a small business advocate. I'm a certified to do CEO roundtables, masterminds, cohorts. Of course, I go live every Wednesday on LinkedIn audio, sometime LinkedIn live, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But let me just tell you, you might say, why? How did I get to be this way? My father was one of the first Army Corps of Engineer officers. And thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate you too. Thanks for joining. My parents were married in college. They both went to Tuskegee. My entire family went to Tuskegee. And let me tell you, I arrived at my father's first duty station probably around 4 or 5 years old. And when they were unpacking, my dad said, hey, go outside and play on the playground. In the military overseas, let me get it this way. The houses are in quads. So there's houses on 4 sides with streets at each corner. And there's a playground in the middle of this quad of military family housing. Well, they said, go out there and play. So I ran out there, and I've always been social. Hi, my name is Michelle. Hi, my name is Michelle. And I'm going from the monkey bars to the swings to the merry-go-round, the seesaws, all the different things, and just introducing myself. Well, after maybe about 15 minutes or so, I'm guessing because I was around 5 years old, but this experience changed me. I'm just going to say that. And so all of the houses of the quads had balconies where the parents or the mothers, mostly back in the 60s, could come out and watch the kids on the playground. So Susie's mom, I'm just going to, call her that, said, hey, everybody come in for cookies and milk. And all of the kids, about 8 kids, run to the stairwell, because it's the higher rank you were, the higher, your balcony was. So they were up pretty high. And, I'm running, and I'm the last one, because what I know is Willa Mae Hall Gardner, that's my mother, would, be very upset, and I'd probably get a spanking for going in somebody's house. I don't know, but I also wanted to go and have cookies and milk. So I run up the stairs, and I'm, every kids are pushing, by me. And I end up being, when we get to the 4th floor, I end up being the last one at the door. And I go inside, and Susie's mother said, oh no, not you, dear. You need to go home for cookies and milk. You see, my father was the only Black officer on the post at the time. And so while they were allowed to play with me on the playground, they were not allowed to have me in their house. And, I ran back downstairs, just bawling. And I ran down each flight of steps, just sobbing, not understanding why couldn't I go in for cookies and milk. And I ran across the playground into my father was 2nd lieutenant, so he was on the bottom. Our home was on the bottom floor. And I bust into the house, and my mother said, what's wrong? What's wrong? Why are you crying? And she said, oh, what's going on? And I said, they won't let me in for cookies and milk. She wouldn't let me in, Mom. Susie's mom wouldn't let me in. And my mother said, oh dear, I will make you some cookies and pour you some milk. And I said, why? She said, there's nothing wrong with you. Just know that. There's nothing wrong with you. And so while that door may have been shut in my face and I couldn't enter in, I can tell you that all my life, all my adult life, I have been passionate about opening doors for others, about making sure that other people had opportunities, had information, had access to opportunities. But that is why I'm saying the world's greatest Air Force gave me the opportunity to experience entrepreneurship at a level that I'm not sure a corporate company would have given this little Black girl from Georgia, the opportunity, at 40 years old to run $1 billion, organization. I'm not sure they would have trusted me. Maybe they would have, maybe they wouldn't have. But I can tell you that is why I am passionate about opening doors, because the world's greatest Air Force gave me an opportunity to know how to do this, how to build relationships, plus a plethora of other skills, all to enable women, veteran, minority, LGBTQ, any business. That is what we are about. We're about building community. We're about helping lighten the load and speed up the journey. So let's do business together. Let's do business alongside each other, right? That's what we're really doing, is helping small business demystify government contracting, to understand the language, understand the landscape, and leverage your experience that you already have for small business success. So that's what it's all about this week, is empowering small businesses. Thank you for joining. This is Michelle Gardner-Ince, aka GI, and join us for the GI Factor hashtag TGIF, and Demystifying Government Contracting. Will be here all week. We're going to have some amazing speakers, and please connect with William. Didn't he do an amazing job? What a way to kick it off. Thank you so much, and good night.